I was 5 when I was raped. It went on for over a decade. I didn't have the craziest idea until I was in my late 30s. Yep, that late. So I was doing a coaching certification course, and the instructor and I had a chat about sex and my reservations about it. So she said, you know what, Karina, let's have a session, and through that session, we'll decode where this all comes from. So she asked me in my first session, what was your childhood like? And I told her how I was molested as a kid. So growing up, my father would tell me how it's important to please your man, and that what he was doing was merely educating me. And of course, as every child, I felt the need to please him, because that's the way I wanted to get loved. Never did I think I wasn't a virgin. Why would I? So when Michelle, my coach and counselor, asked me to walk her through what had taken place, I felt myself go numb. That was the longest first minute I've ever experienced in my life. Soon after, I felt anger like I've never felt before. I couldn't understand what was going on, but one thing I did know is why I had so many failed relationships and why I was so insecure. So anger was the first experience I had of acknowledging the truth, and over the course of my therapy, I went from sadness to guilt to anger to feeling lonely, because obviously I felt unsupported during my younger years. And this whole process wasn't linear. So the myth that the grieving process happens in that stage, it doesn't. There were days when I was angry, and there were days when I was sad. After a period of time, I finally came to a place of acceptance. So I accepted what happened, and I thought, I'm fine. But to my surprise, when people asked me about my father, suddenly all these emotions came rushing back, and I was transported back to that very experience all over again. And I thought, wait a minute, all that therapy, and I'm back into feeling this? This couldn't be right. And so I knew there was something I had to do. So I used to live in Discovery Bay, and coincidentally, I came across a leaflet. Now, this leaflet was a special one because it had a picture of a man with this radiating smile, and I was so drawn to that smile because that smile was radiating from the inside. He had this glow that I was so mesmerized by. So it was a Buddhist class, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go and check this guy out. And not to mention, he's pretty good looking, so that was the incentive. So I went to the class, and he had this perfect balance of comedy and sharing wisdom and stories, making it lighthearted, and I was so drawn into it. He had this practical wisdom that just made me feel like this is where I belong. After a few sessions, I mustered up the courage and went up to him and I said, Gen Rapton, I want to talk to you about something personal. He's like, sure. So I told him my life story, and I told him how I was raped as a child, but that I wanted to be free, even though I'd accepted what had occurred and done all the therapy I could do. So Gen Rapton mentioned the love and kindness meditation, and how by doing that, over time, things would change. He asked me to have that person in my mind and to send love so that I can come to a place of forgiveness. Now, to me, it sounded so alien. Love the person who hurt me? Is he kidding? But of course, at that point in my life, I wanted nothing more than to be liberated from that pain. So I followed what he said religiously. Every single day, I did the love and kindness meditation. And on some days, there was no love. But on some days, I felt like I was in a good place and I had a lot of compassion. There was no one finite day where I felt like, you know what? Yay, I've got it. I have a lot of love for this man. No, it wasn't like that. Over the course of a period, when people asked me about my father, I realized I no longer carried resentment. I felt, for the first time in the longest time, calm. And that's when I knew I came to a place of forgiveness. So a few months ago, I had the opportunity, if you will, to call my father. Bear in mind, I hadn't spoken to him like forever. So I texted him just to give him the heads up that I was going to call him. But I also warned him I wasn't going to bite his head off because I had done so upon realizing I was raped. We spoke, and to my surprise, we even laughed. And at one point, he repeatedly asked for my forgiveness. And I told him, hey, I'd forgiven you ages ago, it's just I never reached out. But this time, it was different. I felt the need to call him, and so I did. So there are two reasons why I called him. One, it's one thing in theory to say you forgive someone. It's quite another in practice. And for me, I really wanted to check, did I really forgive this man, or was it all in my head? But when I spoke to him, I felt nothing but a light-hearted spirit. And that was for me, not for him. I realized I had truly forgiven him. And the other reason I did this was because I knew COVID was happening and it had changed the world. I did not want this to linger anymore, because who knows if you're still going to be here tomorrow. And with that in mind, I knew that was the best time to do it. So you must wonder, how does this relate to me, Karina? And that's a really good point. And it does. Despite not having gone through the traumatic experience I did, we all hold on to pain because someone has hurt us at some point in our lives. And this is where you come in. Okay, so it's one thing to forgive someone, and it's quite another to actually do it, right? Because they're two very different things. So this is what I want to share with you. To actually forgive means to understand that we're all imperfect, that we all make mistakes. Think back to a time that you made a mistake, and then you asked someone for forgiveness. But the other thing is that we hold on to someone's error like it's such a big deal. And I want to do a little exercise with you all, if you don't mind. If you're comfortable, do close your eyes. I want you to take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. Now, I want you to picture this one person. This person that hurt you so much that you replay this incident time and time again. And you feel yourself enveloped in this anger. Now, feel that emotion. Now, I want you to take another deep breath in and then exhale. Stay with this person, stay with this scene. Now, I want you to go back to another time when the same person has done something beautiful, something so amazing that it captured your heart. Now, stay with that emotion, that loving, that kind, that emotion that made you feel so good. Stay with that. Let it surround all of you. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale. All right, when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes, if you've closed them. Come back to the very hall that we're here. Come back to this space. Come back to me. So the reason for this exercise is because it allows you to understand and to feel that even the most painful experience with somebody, they too have something good in them. By no means am I saying toxic behavior is acceptable, no. But that we can see that we're all flawed. So when you are ready to make that phone call, you're able to do so. But bear in mind that when you make that call, you do it for the right intention. And what that means is that you don't call that person because you want them to apologize. No. Nor do you call that person because you want closure of some sort. No. Nor do you call that person because you want them to fix something. No. You do that because you want to feel light. You do that because you want to be unstuck. You do that because you want to feel happy. Growing up, I had a friend tell me that he knew I portrayed this bubbly character, but deep down, he saw a sadness in my eyes. And I was stunned, because I thought I was this bubbly kid, and I thought I'd fooled everyone. But man, I did not fool no one, not even myself. But today, I can tell you, I'm pretty happy as an individual. Now, don't get me wrong, I do have sad moments. I do have anxiety when something stresses me out. But I also have the tools to get out of it and not get stuck. So one of the ways for me to gauge how happy I am is this. We don't know if we have tomorrow. And I can tell you, I'm so ready for it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like I want to leave this planet tomorrow. I love my life. But should that day come, I'm okay with that because I have made peace with the people that have hurt me. And I definitely have made peace with those I have hurt. So if today's your last day, or rather, if the journey of life is to be happy, what's stopping you from making that call to make peace with a person who once wronged you? Thank you.